Aretha Franklin, one of the greatest singers this country has ever produced and one of the best-selling musicians of all time, died this morning after a battle with pancreatic cancer. She was 76. Over the course of her career, Franklin gave us more than music. She gave us gifts. So what better way to celebrate those gifts than to bring together two people who knew Aretha Franklin well? The Reverend Al Sharpton, who was one of her dearest friends, and Carole King, who co-wrote the Aretha hit that made Obama cry, Natural Woman.
You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman,
She made her name long before she recorded the song Natural Woman.
Which you co-wrote.
Which I co-wrote with Jerry Goffin, who wrote the lyrics, and Jerry Wexler, who was the producer at Atlantic. He came up with the title, so that's why you see three names on that song.
In fact, you write about this in your book titled A Natural Woman. You've got a whole chapter there about, Jerry was talking about coming up with a really big hit for Aretha Franklin. What would you think?
Well, we listened to WNJR for inspiration.
I remember WNJR.
And we went home, and I just started playing a kind of that slow gospel feel, and Jerry just started coming out with the lyrics, and it was amazing, and we made a demo, which I later recorded that song in Tapestry a different way, but I made the demo how I thought she might sing it, not really being able to sing anywhere near like that. And we brought the demo to Jerry Wexler at Atlantic and Ahmet Ertegun, and we heard nothing. And we heard nothing, and we heard nothing. And then we get a call, and we come into the office, and they play us the record that y'all have been listening to, that we all have.
That's amazing.
It blew me away. It was like, oh my God.
One of her greatest performances, too, in terms of singing, was her singing Natural Woman.
You make me feel like a natural woman.
My most dramatic memory, if you want to call it that, or endearing memory, is she sang at the White House in the last year of President Obama for a jazz night.
There's no one more important to me. Baby, can't you see through me?
And I remember I got I got to the White House, and I was saying to somebody, we're going through, and they were having it out in the White House lawn under a tent. And I saw Will, who traveled with Miss Franklin, and I said, "Where's the Queen?" He said, and he did like this, and they brought me in the back, and she was in a room getting her hair done. And she looked at me and said, "Reverend Al, don't get no better than that. Aretha getting her hair done in the White House with a black president. If Daddy could see me now."
Wow.
I didn't know whether to laugh or cry because of the moment, but the president really loved Aretha
She's
Franklin.
50 years of American history. Her performance, her performing life was 50 years of American history. Talk to me about her influence on music, on contemporary music.
Well, I would say, first of all, I am a white Jewish girl, was a white Jewish girl, and totally, influenced by her piano playing style, which, by the way, at
remarkable,
at that Kennedy Center Honors thing, one of the first things.
This is in December of 2015.
Right.
When she sang Natural Woman for you.
She sang it for me, and later I read an article in which she actually said I was singing it for her, but it sure felt like that. And I was just, oh my God, because the first thing she did, which she doesn't usually do in her later years, she came out on that stage and she sat down at the piano and started to play. And I turned to my daughter, who was sitting behind me, I said, "She's playing."
Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired.
And from there, it was just, she took me high. But she was a kind of a revolution of her own. I mean, her talent, to be sure, a black woman doing her own thing and, you know, leading others around her.
Right.
So inspiring.
And conducted her own business.
Indeed, and as I said, you know, I was a young white Jewish woman, but I interacted in my business. You know, we didn't think very much about how, you know, people say color, whatever. We just all, whatever it took to get the music to happen. And so, you know, my interaction with her was just inspiration. I took so much inspiration.
And so the inspiration can be from her and all of these things she did, but she has a number of songs, Respect and Think, which are really anthems, particularly for women. They're feminist anthems. This woman was a trailblazer in a lot of ways, Reverend Al. I mean, in the different kinds of music she did. By the way, she succeeded at opera as well. But she really, she both wrote inspirationally and behaved inspirationally.
She behaved as she wrote. She certainly affirmed women, feminism, way before it was popular. And she brought the sound of the black church mainstream. She never lost that kind of church kind of feel to her music. And if you'd ever go see her perform, she would do gospel songs and do her joy shout. If it was in the White House or if it was at the Apollo Theater.
It's easy to think about, but
that.
that was a real struggle at the time, particularly for African-American performers, right? Because they were pigeonholed.
Right.
If you were an R&B singer, it was next to impossible, even if you were topping the charts, to move over.
But Aretha did, and Aretha did it seamlessly, and I think that she never got the credit for that. But she never lost her authenticity. I think that's why everybody loved her, no matter what race, because she was who she was, and she would sing from her heart. You could watch other performers, you could feel Aretha. There was something about Aretha that got down into the bottom of your soul.
I'm just reading from chapter 27 of your book, Carole, where Jerry, you were talking to him about writing Natural Woman, and you said, oh my God, he wants us to write for Aretha. I think we can do it. Of course we can. Yeah, I think I've already got an idea. Did you know at the time when you were doing this with Aretha Franklin that this was going to be one of many, but a song that everybody, no matter how old you are today, knows? There's no young child who's listening to music who won't recognize Natural Woman. I
did not. I don't think Jerry did either. We were just, you know, we just had a job to do. We just sat down to do our job, but it was a little intimidating. And
sure.
Like I said, I made the demo, and I don't have the range that she has. I don't have that gospel singing background, and yet somehow, sometimes we songwriters or performers, and you can see this in Aretha, we are the instruments. And so I wasn't conscious of any of that. All I did was like sit down with Jerry. The collaboration worked as it often does with songwriters. And what came out, she lifted to the next level. But we were all instruments in bringing this song to people around the world. And so the fact that it's popular, I think that's that. And Aretha, I know, would say, you know, she felt like an instrument. She knew she was an instrument.
It is. I don't know if it's clear to everybody, Reverend Al, what influence Aretha Franklin has had on their lives, because for 50 years of performing, so much of what we think of as music is because of Aretha Franklin.
Absolutely. And I think that we've had a lot of legends, we've had a lot of megastars and superstars, but we've only had one queen, and her name is Aretha Franklin.
And she's got soul.
And she's a natural woman.
That is a great way to remember Aretha Franklin. Carole King, Reverend Al, thank you both.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.